If you're watching this, I apologize for the delay, but YouTube says your stream is offline. So I'm not sure what's up with that.
You're not live. You're not live.
I'm live?
But no, you're not.
It says I'm live.
Let me see. I just got a notification, so. Yeah, it says on my phone that we're live, but I'm not seeing anything on YouTube.
You go away for 2 weeks, and this is what happens. Bill's in the chat.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, can you see us? Are we live?
Why am I not seeing this?
Mine says my stream is offline. I'm going to try closing YouTube and coming back in. Sorry, guys, for watching this on the replay. Apologies. It's not us, it's YouTube. Can you see us? Just live audio. Huh. Okay. I'm going to stop this and we'll start again. I'll delete this video.
Okay. There we are.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of VCC Live. This is episode 35. Tonight, we're talking about California a little bit, as in me traveling to and from there. We're going to update you on the HR1136 co-sponsor list, and Jay's going to give us a few state updates. We're not going to cover them all. There's just way too many going on right now, but just the ones that we know about. Sorry about that, having to restart. I'm not sure what's going on. Hopefully, we are live and you all can see and hear us. If you can, just hit that like button down there below, and I'll be able to see those. There may end up being 2 videos, and I might have to delete one of them. But yeah, anyway, we'll get it worked out. You go away for a few weeks, and YouTube changes, and the world just keeps moving on. Bill says, there we are, VC Live episode 2 for the day. Sweet. So we're glad all of you guys could join us. Before I go on about Cali and the last couple of weeks and what's going on, what you been up to, Jay? How's things?
Things are tight. Things are very tight. Still working 60 to 80 hours a week, doing a little advocacy when I can, helping out the folks with the newly formed MASFA that isn't officially formed. But yeah, lots of stuff going on, lots of stuff that I don't want to bore anybody with.
Cool. Yeah, we're seeing some chat here. I know you've been busy, and I know, but at least you found a day job, and at least you're able to stay afloat and keep things going. So, I mean, that's good. I'm seeing some chat. People saying there was no VC Live for 2 weeks. Yes, we were off for 2 weeks. I've had company from out of town and went to a wedding for a week in California. Well, the wedding wasn't a week long, but went out for a few days before and stayed for a day after. Yeah, I think YouTube is the problem as well, Scott. I'm not sure what happened. Said we were live, but there was audio only, so we had to restart this. But now we have audio and video, so there we go. Anyway, yeah, there's no... Matt was already planning to be off tonight for the next 2 episodes. He's going to be on vacation, so he won't be with us. Nick was going to join us, but something came up and couldn't make it last minute, so hopefully he'll be back with us next week.
I think he's down in Atlanta, isn't he? Or he's on his way?
I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think so.
I thought he was going.
He said I had to leave. He texted me, said I had to leave home last minute. Sorry about that. So I'm assuming something came up around his house and he had to take off. But anyway.
Ran out of bourbon.
Maybe that's what it was. Needed a beer. Clouds broke clouds. So yeah, California. Let me just go through that real quick. This has absolutely nothing to do with vaping or advocacy. I didn't stop by any shops while I was out there because I was too busy the entire time. We were traveling around seeing things, and then of course there was the wedding. So yeah, but I didn't get to see any vape shops or meet up with anybody while I was there, but we did a lot of driving around. So LA, then up to Monterey, then back down to LA, then down to San Diego, then back to LA. So did a lot of driving. And one thing I think that I learned about California is that they should change their state motto to hurry up and wait. Because that's what you do in driving around California.
I've heard that. It's also extremely vertical. The state is extremely vertical. Like, it's all north and south.
It is.
Not much wiggle room, like on the
And
margins.
it's just, I mean, traffic bumper to bumper everywhere you go. It was the worst I've ever seen, and I've driven in some big cities in Europe and in the U.S. So anyway, I like the people there. I like the scenery. I don't think it'd be my cup of tea to live in because, Florida actually should change their state motto to like California without the traffic. Because
Right. Yeah.
we
Right.
have the warm weather.
Or without the Democrats.
Yeah, the beaches. I mean, it's just it's a nice place to be, and the traffic, while it can get bad in like Tampa and Miami and Orlando and stuff, I have just never in my life seen anything like LA and the surrounding areas. Absolutely insane. No wonder the politicians out there are on the edge. They have to drive through traffic all the time.
They have to put up barbed wire around road signs, I heard.
It's crazy, man. But it was an overall good trip, good time. Glad to take a little break, even though I have a lot going on right now with VCT and Breathe Magazine. So if you guys, anyone watching wants information on VCCT, we're doing it in Tampa, June 24th and 25th. My audio keeps fading to super low volume. I don't know I don't know. I can move the mic closer, but then people say it's clippy. I don't know. Is that any better, Bill? How about now? I don't know. I think we're on a delay, so they're not going to be able to tell me for a second. Anyway, I'll keep talking, and then you guys can let me know in the chat if everything sounds okay. But yeah, anyway, VCT, June 24th and 25th, Tampa, Florida, Florida State Fairgrounds. It's on I-4 right across from the Seminole Hard Rock Casino. A lot of interest the last couple of weeks. We're getting some folks signed up for it. It's going to be a great event. Clips a little, but can hear you now. Let me try turning the volume down a little bit. We'll see if that's any better. What else? Breathe Magazine. We still looking for advertisers for that so that we can get the first issue out hopefully by the end of April for May and June. If you know of anyone, we just lowered our introductory rates for the first issue. We have, probably some of the lowest rates I think in the industry right now for vaping and print vape advertising. So you can send me an email for that one at Breathe Magazine, BRETH Magazine at gmail.com, and the Vaping CC stuff you can find at vapingcc.com, or send me an email to admin@vapingcc.com. And those were all not shameless plugs. Those were our shameful plugs, whatever. Those are just plugs. Why? Because if I can't stay in business, there won't be any advocacy work to do.
Right. Yeah.
So
no more show.
We need to get that stuff.
You'll have to sell your mixer.
Have to sell my mixer. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's California in a nutshell. And the first thing we had to talk about vaping related, I have been a little bit out of the loop the last week and a half or 2 weeks because I've been traveling and I haven't had a chance to read a whole lot of stuff. But I do keep tabs on the HR1136 co-sponsors and the progress of it as it makes its way through the House of Representatives. And I'm going to go over to full monitor really quickly here, and we will go to the congress.gov/bill/115-congress/house-bill/1136/co-sponsors. That's where That's where we're at right now. And you can see since the last time we updated you, quite a bit have joined. We're up to 28 co-sponsors at this moment, and unfortunately, only 2 of those are Democrats. So you can go through. I'll scroll through the list here, and you can have a look and pause the video if you want to see who they are, or I'll post a link in the description, and you can just click on that.
Where are the Democrats from? Just out of curiosity.
You can click on it actually, and it will tell you exactly who they are. One, Sanford Bishop, obviously the co-sponsor. He's from the main co-sponsor from Georgia. And Representative looks like William Lacey Clay from is that Missouri?
What is it?
Or Montana?
What does it say?
I think MO is Missouri, right?
MO is Missouri, I believe. Yeah.
So that's
I don't know what else it would be.
That's the only two. The only 2 Democrats at the moment who are co-sponsoring HR 1136. We do have 26 Republicans, and you can scroll through the list here and see who those are, and this tells you exactly where they're from as well on the left side. If you do not see your representative's name on this list, especially if they're a Democrat, I mean, we need all representatives to be co-sponsoring and or supporting this bill, but especially if they're a Democrat, we need to get some more of those names on. this list of co-sponsors. It has, let's see, if we go to actions, you can clearly see that it's still in the same place that it was, introduced to House, and I think there should be one that says that it was, it doesn't show it here, but it was referred to committee, which is the House Committee on Energy and Commerce. So nothing has happened on it yet, but at this moment we still need to get everyone on board so that when it does start making its way through the House committee process, that hopefully at some point a lot of the members of the committees will already be co-sponsoring HR1136, and it will make it that much easier to pass through the process through the House. So, yeah.
Good. Now, I do have a question, but first I want to say Albert Harper just entered the room, so I just want to give a stomp fight to you, kind sir.
Absolutely.
But I do have a question. Since the next kind of milestone in the FDA's regulations on vapor products is the product registration that has been pushed out to June 30th, I believe. Would the passage of this bill affect that in any way, do you think?
Probably, because the whole point behind this bill and what I think Tom Cole was trying to do was set up August 8, 2016 as a predicate date, obviously, and then give a certain period of time, a time frame after that, which was 21 months, if I'm not mistaken, to implement some of the policies that they're trying to do through HR 1136 should it become a law. So everything really is up for alterations at this point, and I think that probably, yes, it would affect us. Do I think it'll be passed by June? I am not sure.
Probably not.
Probably not. So I say,
but I mean, if it was to pass, I guess my question is, if it was to pass, would product registration continue to be a requirement? Like if your products do fall into the predicate date or before the predicate date, are you still required to register? I guess is the base question.
I think that they would have to set up and establish new timelines based on the new legislation. Right now, they're going off of everything that they've made up out of thin air, based on the fact that the Satara case told them that they had the right to regulate these as tobacco products. Actually, you know what? I'm still on the right monitor. Holy cow. Sorry about that for you watching the video live, you guys. I just realized that. Yeah, they're still working off of the stuff that they made up out of thin air and the FDA deeming regulations. This would give them some clear legal guidance at a federal level. So that would obviously take precedent over the regulations that they have developed, if you will. Developed sounds better than just made up out of thin air. But yeah. Wow. I'm still looking at the replay there, and I saw that it was kind of like tunnel vision. That's kind of funny.
It's like when you walk into one of those public bathrooms that have mirrors on both sides.
Exactly. Yep. Sometimes that works well for you. Sometimes it doesn't. Depends on the mirror. But anyway, Nick and Matt are not with us tonight. Matt's on vacation. That's a lot of Matts in a row. Matt's on vacation for a couple of weeks, and Nick had a last-minute thing where he had to step out and couldn't join us live tonight. So hopefully Nick will be back with us next week. But neither one of them are here with us tonight.
Yep. So go ahead and log off now.
That's it. Peace.
But if you don't, go ahead and be sure to smash that like button.
Yeah, smash that like button before you take off.
Share us out. Make comments. Do all sorts of shit that you usually do on YouTube.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much the HR 1136. Do any of you guys in chat have questions about HR 1136 about the process? Has everyone in chat contacted their representative to make sure that they're supporting or co-sponsoring?
I'm going to raise my hand and I'm going to say I am guilty of not doing that. However,
you've explained it before though, but tell us again.
I'm going to explain it again. All of my representatives are firmly in the tank for Big Pharma and Big Tobacco. So there's at this point, Massachusetts, no, done deal.
Yeah,
it's a done deal here.
I had to send Bill a little smiley face. He says, "Okay, logging off. Good show." That's funny.
Jazzy Jag. Wow, haven't seen Jazzy Jag in a while.
What's up, guys? What's going on, man? How are you? So yeah, that's HR1136. That's the update on it. That's who's co-sponsoring it at the moment. Again, it's up to 28. We need a lot more, and we definitely need a lot more. I was going to say we need a lot more D's. That sounds kind of bad, but we need a lot more Democrats.
Gotta love the D's.
You gotta love the D's.
No, but you're right. You're absolutely right. It would be great to have some serious bipartisan support. Honestly, beyond the conspiratorial dealings that are going on in back rooms, I don't understand why Democrats are so against vaping. If it's not a conspiracy, it doesn't make any sense. So continue hammering on them.
Absolutely.
Get those D's.
Get those D's.
Mm-hmm.
Matt says, happy late birthday, Kevin. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Rob says, Kev needs all the D's.
Yep.
I'm good.
all of the D's.
From the bottom of my heart, I'm good. But HR1136 needs all the D's. How about a little update on VCC, or did I miss that? No, you didn't miss it. I just talked about, the dates again, and if anyone's interested. June 24th, 25th, Tampa, vapingcc.com.
If I get laid off before then, I might be there.
Oh, well, I almost said sweet, but that would not be sweet. Bill's back. It was either watching you guys or Dancing with the Stars. Oh, very cool. We beat out Dancing with the Stars. Did you hear that, Jay?
We can dance.
Costello says, these nuts. Okay. Good way to transition.
Yeah.
So, Jay, you have some updates. Again, I haven't been reading a whole lot, but Jay's got some updates on a few states that
kind of. A lot of it is kind of hearsay, and it's literally because I'm working 80 hours a week. I don't have much time to traverse Facebook the way I used to, but I did pick up on some blurbs that I saw on Facebook from some somewhat reliable sources. First, in New York, they're planning as part of their big budget bill. They're planning on taxing vaping products and banning vaping products wherever cigarettes are not allowed to be smoked. Apparently, according to Andrew Osborne, they've made some really good headway. They've tightened up some relationships that they've made over the years, and they're being cautiously optimistic right now that they can at least mitigate some of the damage that can be done by this bill. And then in Rhode Island, I heard last night they were facing an 80% wholesale tax in Rhode Island, and there's a lot of northeastern states right now that are facing similar situations.
Right.
But I think theirs was the most egregious at 80% wholesale. Not only did they get them to lower, but that bill was killed in committee. I'm not sure what committee it was in, but according to a somewhat reliable source, it was completely killed. So Rhode Island should be free and clear for a good portion of this year, if not the rest of this year. So that's good news. And it just shows. And Rhode Island does have a very good group of folks on the advocacy front. So it really, I guess it doesn't surprise me. They were always pretty well organized, and they've always been kind of ahead of the game as far as like new legislation coming down. They've always seemed prepared for it. So it really doesn't surprise me that they were able to kill it pretty quickly. Massachusetts, not as much good news here. We are facing a 40% wholesale tax for e-liquid in Massachusetts. The MASFA, the newly forming MASFA group, did meet with the sponsor of that bill last week. They had a great meeting, but it was pretty much told to them that a tax is coming. Mm-hmm. It's just a question of how much. And he kind of explained it that, all right, that this 40%, we've seen that number being thrown about like across the country. So we just figured we'd start with that, and that would start the dialogue. So I would say, worst case scenario in Massachusetts is it's going to be less than 40% ultimately. Obviously, I don't want anything more than 0%. But that's just going to be an ongoing fight for the rest of the year here. It's not going to be as quick and dirty as it was in Rhode Island, where they just killed the bill.
Right.
we're a little less organized, I think, and a little less mature on the advocacy front in Massachusetts, through no fault of anybody who's been involved in it over the years. It's just the nature of the beast in Massachusetts. So we're going to continue the fight here and see what we can do. Hopefully this bill just gets killed on some sort of technicality or VTA or another tobacco lobbyist steps in and ends up able to kill this bill, which is entirely possible, because it would affect stick bat sales at gas stations as well. So there are a lot of dogs in this fight from different sections of the industry. So I'll be curious to see how it ends up unfolding. But for now, things are progressing okay, but not great.
Yeah, and just like at our last show, which was 3 weeks ago that we did, around that same time, Florida introduced a bill, and I want to go over that in just a second as well. It's kind of the domino effect from other states. Before I do that real quick, in chat, I had sent a smiley face, and now I can barely see chat. Do you have any idea how I collapse these smiley faces?
I don't see any smiley faces.
I clicked on it and clicked the emoji guy. Oh, maybe I need to click the emoji. Oh, there we go. Cool. Let's just go over these. Any questions in chat real quick before we move on to Florida. Let's see. Bill says New York campaign for tobacco-free kids is really pushing hard and are in their ears. Vape laws in Chicago. I'm pretty sure you can't vape indoors anywhere in Chicago. So I'm not sure about public places.
That's been true in Boston for 5-6 years.
I've been there for a few times in the last couple of years to Chicago, and I haven't had any trouble vaping outside. And if I do vape inside someplace, it's usually stealth vaping. But again, I vape mouth to lung, and it's not that big of a deal to do. I'm not blowing clouds or anything.
Right.
And usually
most major cities have a vape ban of some sort in place,
but most private businesses in those cities don't really have a huge problem with it unless someone complains or if you're not being a dick about it. So I mean, I would say just try to be discreet. Don't Matt, you're going to be probably fine. Just just be discreet.
Get yourself a K-Fun.
Yeah. So Jade says, what about 20% off VCC tickets for VCC subscribers? That would be free because VCC is free to go to. So
right. Kevin is not going to pay you to go.
Right. We don't charge for VCC events. We did a sampling fee at the last event in Tennessee last year, but we're going to leave that up to the individual exhibitors to take care of at their booths this time. So all you have to do is bring your ID to prove that you're over the age of 18, and that's it. There's no fee for our tickets. We don't even have tickets. We just check your ID and give you a wristband that's been verified. That's it. Mm-hmm. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to catch up on the chat here real quick. Oregon, age to 21 approved, 19 to 8. Now it goes to the House. That's similar to what they're trying to do here in Florida, and I'm going to go over that in just a second. There's a lot of states on the 21 bandwagon right now. Yeah.
Massachusetts is on that as well. It's just not something that we're paying much attention to because most of the major cities in Massachusetts are already 21 anyway. So there's not many resources people are willing to put towards fighting that.
Yeah. Buck something says, what about this lawyer I heard on Smoke Free Radio who said the FDA has skipped some sort of step in their procedure of enacting the regs and said it's an illegal way they've brought the regs on? I hadn't heard that before, but I'm positive that anything that the FDA is doing is being dissected by attorneys from the vaping side. So, I mean, if there's a way that they can use that to our advantage, I'm sure they will. Mm-hmm. I think our best bet at this moment is to support HR1136 and try to get that predicate date changed, obviously, to August 8, 2016, and go from there.
Agreed.
Let's see. Department of Defense. I'm not going to read that one. Sorry, Bill. Let's see. Is VCC June indoor or outdoor? It's at a convention hall at the Florida State Fairgrounds, so it's indoors. With air conditioning, if that's what you're worried about. All right, so it looks like we caught up on the chat for now, and hopefully I don't forget to scroll back over to this when we're done. If I do, guys, just type something in chat and we'll go. But I'm going to go to full monitor real quick, and then So I wrote this a few weeks ago. It looks like March 2nd is when this happened. I wrote this and the Florida Smoke Free Association shared it. It says, "Heads up, Florida vapors. This is a domino effect from other states having similar bills in play this year. There are so many reasons why this is a bad idea. Some people have already been smoking for years by the time they're 20. Why deny them access to vaping when it's a much safer alternative, at least 95% safer according to the Royal College of Physicians? Besides that, why tell any adult who can fight for the country, vote for their representatives, and enter into legal contracts what they can or cannot choose to purchase as long as it's a legal product?" And then it has a link to the Florida Senate, which has the bill information posted here. It's HB 1093, Tobacco Products. The short title is Tobacco 21 Act. Revises prohibited age for provisions related to sale, delivery, gift, possession, citation for and purchase of tobacco products. Revises annual reporting and revises shipping documentation requirements, internet or remote sale of tobacco products. Revises prohibitive age for smoking near school property. And then if you go over to the PDF and scroll through it and read some of it, which I've already done, I'm not going to bore you with. But the worst thing about this is, there's a couple of really bad things. First of all, like I just talked about, if you are an adult and you're considered by the law to be an adult and you're purchasing a legal product, I don't agree with alcohol age being 21 either. But certainly, tobacco products, even if these are considered tobacco products or nicotine products or even consumer devices, who is the government to tell you can or cannot purchase something or what you can or cannot do with your life? I mean, we've had this discussion many times, but even beyond that point, it goes on in the bill language to further define these in the state law as tobacco products, the same as combustible tobacco products and other tobacco products that are taxed differently. And why that's a huge deal is, once they get that defined and rolled into the tobacco products category and a definition in a statute, when next year rolls around or the year after or any year that they're in a budget deficit, guess what they're going to come after? Tobacco products, because that's what they always do.
Right.
And at that time, they already have the mechanism in place to go ahead and put a tax on nicotine and mods and anything that has a relationship to this or anything that yours looks like that you're vaping. It would be so much easier for them to tax it, and you can do nothing about it. Nothing at all. It's just that easy. Once they have it defined in the statute as tobacco according to state law, it becomes that much easier to tax it at some point in the future. And that's exactly what's going to happen, and that's why these states are doing this now. So it's very important, if you live in the state of Florida, to contact your state representatives and let them know that you are opposed to HB 1093. Vehemently opposed. And you can quote the reasons that we've talked about here tonight, but most importantly, it's going to keep people who have probably been smoking for years already. It's going to keep them and restrict them to have access to products that are at least 95% safer for them than combustible tobacco. So yeah, that's what's going on here in Florida. It seems like every year for the past 3 years, we've had something to deal with, and I'm not as involved anymore as I used to be here, but I know that the lobbyists and the FSFA are active and working on this. Nick Orlando and his wife Dolores, and T.D. Bowen and the rest of the folks, Robert Lovett and Shannon Weitzel, those folks are working, consistently and constantly on behalf of the vape industry and vapors in the state of Florida. So if you're a business in the state of Florida, or if you do business in the state of Florida, make sure you're a member of the FSFA. It's imperative that they have the money to fund the lobbyists and continue to fight against stuff like this. If you're a consumer, I think you can join as well. It's flsmokefree.org. And but importantly to that as well, make sure you're contacting your state representatives and senators in the state of Florida and letting them know that you are opposed to HB 1093. Tobacco products. Okay, so I think you said we've been seeing similar things like this all over the country, and we've talked about it before. Our own personal reasons why we disagree with it. Anything? Do you disagree, or do you have anything to add to what I said?
No, everything you said is spot on. I mean, most of it is philosophical in nature, not necessarily pragmatic in nature. But in the case of Florida, they go hand in hand. I mean, the fight in Florida is a much easier fight to be had. There's your effort is not going to be wasted in Florida, where efforts in states like Massachusetts, once they get their teeth in, it's over. Like once you're in their magnifying glass, it's over in Massachusetts. That's just how it is in a lot of states in the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I agree with you wholeheartedly on the alcohol point, on the tobacco point, on the old enough to fight for your country point. All of that stuff, not to go too far off topic, but we tend to, as a society, infantilize our children. Like we keep them young for longer periods of time, and then we say, look how immature they are. They need to be protected. So age restrictions keep getting further and further and further. Pretty soon you're going to have to be 42 years old to buy a beer.
Right.
Because people are so immature because nobody's allowed to make mistakes. They have to legislate everything because that's what happens when you're a legislator. Everything becomes something to be legislated. Right. It can't just be a problem with enforcement. No, because that just means a budget increase. No, you want to legislate because that's what your job is, to legislate.
I think that this is more to it than that, though. I think, honestly, it's a way to sneak in some stuff to get it defined as tobacco so that in the future, I think it all boils down to money.
That's more specific, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
Do they really give a flying shit about people who are 18 to 21?
No.
10% maybe. 90% of it is probably just they want to be able to, at some point in the future, tax it with little to no resistance. And that's exactly what happened to cigarettes over the past decades, and that's what they're trying to do, and they will do unless we stand up and say we're not taking it. So, yeah. And again, it's a domino effect that we're seeing from many, many other states this year is raising the age to 21. So, and I'm positive in each and every one of those bills there's something that will link it causally to tobacco products so that at some point in the future they can easily raise taxes on it.
At least in Massachusetts, they separated the two bills. There's the 21 bill, and then there's the 40% wholesale tax bill.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. Are they planning on doing a floor tax there like they did in PA, or is it just?
No, the way the bill is interpreted at this point, there is no floor tax. So that's a good thing, certainly. But 40% is still a killer.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, man. All right, well, that's all that we had, like, legitimately to talk about. So we'll take any questions from you guys for a few minutes. I know it's kind of early, but I'm still getting back into the swing of things. I've been busy this week trying to play catch up. So we'll see if you guys have any questions. If not, we'll make it a short episode tonight, and we'll be back next week with hopefully Nick with us. Albert Harper says, big government will ruin you. Most modern socialist regimes started with universal health care takeover, then moved into other types of control. I'm a vet, and if they told me back then I couldn't smoke when I was in Iraq fighting for freedom, I would have lost my shit. That's probably the sentiment shared by many, many of your fellow veterans.
Absolutely. We've been hearing about that since Vietnam. I mean, people were coming back from Vietnam. Was it Vietnam? It was some recent war when they started raising the drinking age to 21. It wasn't Vietnam. It was after that.
Yeah, because they did it like the early 80s.
Because I remember, I think I was in 8th grade when they started talking about raising the drinking age. But that was one of the arguments, was people were coming back from duty to find out I was just killing for my country and now I can't have a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, they actually issued cigarettes in MREs to my dad when he was in Vietnam.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
All right. Anyone have any questions, comments?
Scott Gottlieb, any word on him? Cancer survivor.
Not that I've heard of, no. The change in drinking age was 1983. Yeah, I thought it was during the first Reagan administration.
I remember being in eighth grade. That sounds about right, because I graduated in 91.
There's a huge push to ban all tobacco products from any veteran services buildings inside and out.
Well, that probably goes hand in hand with them banning them outside of hospitals.
Yeah.
But how can you ban dip or snooze?
Yeah, Rob, I know who you're talking about. I haven't heard anything more on it other than some announcement. I actually added Scott Gottlieb on, I think it was LinkedIn, and he accepted it or something. But occasionally I'll post like pro vaping stuff, hoping that it pops up in his feed.
Well, he still needs to get appointed, right? I mean, he's going to have to go through the whole rigmarole, or did that already happen? I don't know.
No, I don't think it's been going anywhere yet. I think they're focused on other things like Supreme Court nominations and stuff like that. But I think that they'll, I don't foresee any reason that he'll be held up, but you never know. I mean, anything that Trump says is automatically shit by the Democrats, so who knows?
Well, and somebody asked earlier, I didn't have a chance to voice the question, but somebody asked earlier, how do we feel now about our chances with Trump versus, I guess, Hillary?
Someone asked if we thought Trump was going to do anything. I was hopeful, for a while, still hopeful, and I was posting like repetitive tweets. But I mean, I can't imagine how many tweets the man sees in a day because he's constantly on Twitter.
Right.
Do I think he's going to actually do anything to intervene? Probably not. I would say it's a slim chance, but there is a chance, even though a slim one. That's why I say our best bet is to focus on HR1136.
Right. I guess I would use the analogy of football team's defense. I think by Trump getting elected, it prevented a score from the opposite team.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that we get to score.
Right. So that's a good analogy, actually. But we need to focus on our offense, which is HR1136 and the lawsuits that are pending and stuff like that. And
exactly.
And if we do get a defensive score, bonus to us. But I wouldn't count on it being something that, I don't go to sleep every night saying, thank God Trump was elected. He's going to save the vaping industry. Not at all.
No.
But we do have a shot compared to no shot at all. That's the whole point.
Yeah, it gives us a shot outside of the judicial avenue. It gives us a better shot at a legislative fix, certainly. But it's just that it's a shot. What we do with that shot, what we do with that potential is, it's up to us just as much as it is up to the administration.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to focus on something now, again, focus on contacting your federal representatives and having them co-sponsor HR1136. That's the thing.
Unless you live in Massachusetts, then just
I know there are a couple of states, especially like Massachusetts, California, the typical states. But I mean, it doesn't hurt.
But turn out and vote. But turn out and vote those fuckers out.
Yeah,
certainly.
Wow.
I know in Massachusetts, I think most of our reps, or I think both of our senators, maybe, or I don't know how that works. At least Elizabeth Warren is going to be up for re-election in the next 2 years. So
they're on 6-year alternating terms for Senate.
Is it 6 years?
Yeah, and
I think it's 2 years from now. Elizabeth Warren is up, but Massachusetts tends not to put up good, strong opposition to Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know. Vote for me.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up a little early tonight. We'll be back next week, and let us know in the comments if you have any suggestions for things that you'd like to hear us talk about. We kind of go over some of the same stuff and just update you on what's going on, but for sure, give us a chance to prepare for it. Throw some comments down below, and don't forget to hit that like button before we check out tonight. Maybe share the link when we get the replay posted up on the Facebook page. Jay, any closing thoughts, or you going to go back to work?
Yeah.
Are you checked out?
Tonight is graphic design night. I'm thinking of revamping my labels a little bit, but no, I mean, I make a lot of jokes about Massachusetts and a lot of states in the United States, but seriously, if you live in a state that we haven't talked about tonight, or if you live in a state that we have talked about and we do talk about on a regular basis, it is very important that you reach out to your local advocacy organizations, no matter how big, how small, how inept, how much they got their shit together. It doesn't matter. Reach out to them, give them your input, give them your resources in any ways you can, because right now, other than the federal fight, which is very focused, the state fights right now are all over the roadmap. So we really need resources at the state level in a lot of states in this country. So if you're one of those states, reach out to the folks that have been fighting the good fight. New York, Massachusetts, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, California,
Utah.
Utah,
I mean, I would say
Utah,
Oregon.
Oregon.
Oregon. I would just disagree with the no matter how inept part. My thing is if you think someone's not doing a good job and you think you can do better, try it.
Take them over.
Go start something and do better.
Take them over. But that's kind of what I mean. But you're not going to.
That's part of the. You don't have to do everything. You have to do something. Get involved. I mean, you might not necessarily.
But that's
agree.
part of the process. In order to figure out how the rules, the advocacy rules need to be broken, you first need to learn the rules in your state. And a good way to do that is to reach out to the existing organizations in your state and figure out, whether they can be fixed or whether you can do a better job. Just get involved. Just do something.
Yeah, just understand that when you get involved in advocacy work, it is a thankless volunteer job. No one who does any advocacy work is expecting or receiving a lot of thanks or pats on the back. A lot of it's behind the scenes, and you're not going to be congratulated for it.
And if you do a good job, if you do a really good job, expect to be hammered for it. Expect to be hated for it, because there are a lot of egos out there in advocacy, just like juice making. It's the same goddamn thing.
Yep. So no matter how good you think you're doing, someone will find a fault with it. I promise you. Mm-hmm. And the fact is, they're probably not doing much. So anyway, we're gonna let you guys go. Have a good evening. Remember, you don't have to do everything. You do have to do something. Get involved.